Before me and my mother used to go to work, 6 in the morning, we would go to the Star Hotel on the quay and have a rum and coffee for 2 pence.
How old were you when you started work, Mrs.
Oh,
Hicks?
when I left school.
How old were you then?
14 I left
You
school
left
then.
school at 14.
14.
Your mother, did she work before she got married?
Good heavens, she never done nothing of work. You know, she had 6 or 7 children. She used to do all the mending nets for my father for his butt.
Did she?
Yes, never done. Never done. Used to stand up there and beat and then come down and look after dinner. What was to look after? What much that time of day, you know. And she done that till for good one. And of course the girls they come along, see, and then they went into it. So they beat.
I see. So
She teach them beat because they were beaten when they were about 9 year old. She sat down on them up then, you see.
So once your sister's got a bit older, I suppose.
Oh well, of course she couldn't do no more then. Because I mean, she had 12 children to look after and bring what. Well, we took some looking after, didn't we?
But my mother had a little baby. It's just how innocent we were as children compared to what they are today. I mean, I'd be, suppose, 7 or 8 years old, and it'd be 42 or 43. She had my sister, my youngest sister. I mean, we had no idea she was pregnant, my mother. We had no idea whatsoever. I mean, we went to bed one night, and we got up in the morning, and there was a baby lying inside her. Mother was sleeping downstairs because we were all, a lot of us, we tipped a toe. We didn't have one particular bed. You slept where you could. And mother was in a made-up bed downstairs. We came down in the morning about 7 or 8 o'clock, and mother was lying in bed with a baby alongside her. And the nurse was there, and a neighbour was there helping out, you see. And the nurse said, "This is your little sister."
Well, every other week Mother washed. I think one Monday was the mending of the things and making sure everything was all mended up, you see. Monday's washing, Tuesday's ironing, you see, and Wednesday's sort of sewing, because Mother used to do dressmaking as well. She made all our clothes and Father's trousers and everything.
Yes, gracious.
Mum had a copper in the kitchen, and she used to light a little fire underneath, and we'd help her with buckets of water, and she'd fill this copper, and it had a wooden lid on the top, and she'd get up about 5:30 in the morning, and we think, oh, it's hot in this bedroom because the heat
would rise, would it?
and she'd be boiling the clothes.
Yeah.
And then when we came down, we had to help her. She used to open the door to the yard, and the steam used to come up. And then we used to have to drag the bath, which she put the clothes in, to the coal tap. We only had one coal tap.
Right. Yes.
Into the yard, and she used to rinse them.
And she rinsed them in there.
And then we had a great big mangle.
I'm going to say, where was the mangle and all this?
Yeah.
That time of day, you know, my mother used to do all the baking herself.
Did she?
And she used to make a cake for us, we used to call them a currant shortcake. Well, that used to be, I should think, what, 2'6" to 3 foot long, and about 2 foot wide. I used to carry it on my head, I used to take up the bakers.
Oh, yes.
And the baker used to bake it for me, see.
My mother, she used to make balota paste. I wish I had some on it now. Out of red herring. You used to skin the herring, put them in a basin with water, stand them on the stove, on the side of the stove, and they boil right like that. And then you would take all the meat out of them. Then you would put them through a mincer, and you would put some anchovy on them. Put them through the mincer again. You'd put them through the mincer 4 times, and then you'd jar it off, and then you'd put butter over it on, seal it down, and that was lovely. Oh, that was what you call a lovely meal. That was.
Could you tell me how she made the butter?
Well, of course, in the first place, the churn was all scalded out with boiling water to make sure that was quite clean.
What sort of churn was it?
Oh,
So
great big round barrel-shaped one.
churn.
Yes, with the handle at the end. Well, then cream was put in this churn, you see. And then, of course, we had to turn it, because we would be cross. We didn't like to do it, so we'd gallop it around, you know. And Mother used to say, well, no, you mustn't do that. You must do it the one stroke, you see, if you'd gone too quickly, the butter would have come too quick, and then that'd been all crumbly, you see. So we had to do it in a steady stroke. And you could, as you turned it, you could feel it change, and you'd feel the weight got different, you see.
Yes, yes.
And then Mother used to come and take the cork out every little while to let the air out, you see. And then when the butter had come, we used to leave it for a little while. Then she used to have a great big pan of water. She'd bring this butter out into this pan of water and work it all out, you know, to work it, the milk all out. Then she'd have it in another pan where she added the salt. Then she'd work it all in the salt, and that'd be made into pats. And then she used to make long cakes, you know.
Yeah.
And
They were special harvest cakes, were they?
they were,
Yes.
yes.
What were they made of?
Just fruit, you know, they all lard. They were made with lard and the flour and sugar, of course, and then the fruit, the sultanas and currants and things.
Yes, and they were long, flat.
Long flat cakes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Easy to cut.
Oh, easy cards, yes.
Yes, yes. Was that the only time of year that that cake was made?
No,
Special harvest?
Mother usually had some in the cupboard, you see, because the farm men used to have a glass of milk and a slice of cake during the morning, you
Yes,
see.
but it was always called harvest cake.
That's right,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
I used to be sent down to what was Howard Street to get the yeast.
Oh yeah.
So Mummy could make the bread. And I was always getting a short, sharp tap because I used to eat half the yeast before I ever got it home. And if I went to get a loaf, I always ate the crust off it before I got home because it used to be hot. And you used to buy this Watson's, it was Watson's Bakery.
My brother Bob, he was in the Home Guard, I suppose about 16 or 17, I don't know what age he was, he was in the Home Guard anyhow. And because they all had their rifles at home and everything like that. And I remember he must have been in the Home Guard when there was a threat of invasion, because I remember about 1 o'clock in the morning there was a tremendous banging on the door, our old house. And my mother said, "Who on earth is that?" And she showed out the window, she said, "Who on earth is that?" And this voice said, "This is Corporal Fuller," because he lived down the street. He said, "Corporal Fuller, tell Bob to get up, the Germans are landed." And she shouted back, he can't do that, he can't get up, he got to get up for work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And he didn't get up, he wouldn't go out. Mother say, well, she said, if I got to capture us, I got to capture us, we'll capture us in a bed. So she said, I can't be bothered about it.